Hey guys.
And we are really excited to talk to you about planning a digital VBS. We know this is something that so many of you have asked questions on. We're in just weird times right now. There's no other way to put it. And we know that VBS is such an important part of our children's ministry and your children's ministry. And we wanted to make sure that you have the options, every option that you can imagine, so that you can make sure that you're connecting Jesus with all the kids in your church and in your community. And digital VBS is going to be one of those ways this year, with everyone kind of doing the stay-at-home orders and everything along those lines. So that's what we're here today to discuss with you. And we have quite a bit to go over, a lot of information that I think you're going to see is extremely helpful. We even have some downloadables for you, which will make it really nice and easy. So you can actually print these off and look at it. We've got a checklist of all the things that Anna's actually going to be discussing today, which is fantastic. So don't feel like you have to sit there and scribble out all the notes as we're going along, although feel free to if you want. So I think that's going to be really helpful. And I'll let you know where all that is located. So one thing I did want to mention that is if you do have any questions, please go ahead and type those in as we are discussing and going through all the different steps that we have for you today. We will try to answer as many of them as possible. And if you don't think about it now and you think about it later, you'll always be able to contact us. That's something, I think that's one of our big things at CPH is that we want to make sure that you know that we are here from you. Even if we don't have all the answers today, we are here to help you find the answers, and really to be your partner in your VBS journey. So I think that's just one of our main goals, is that we want to make sure that you know that we're here for you, and we're going to do everything possible to make you have a successful VBS for 2020. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it on over to Anna, who is really going to go over, again, the bulk of the information here. And I'll kind of jump in. And again, we'll answer questions. And I hope this is very helpful for you.
Cool. Well, thanks guys so much for having me. I'm really excited to join you today. I know, like Stephanie said, you all are trying to navigate this just as we are, depending on where you're at in the country. You're just kind of playing it by ear, and that's what we're doing too. But our main goal is to make sure that you guys are as prepared as possible. We know that you're talking over decisions with your VBS planning committee, with your church staff, and this is just one of many options you might want to choose for VBS 2020. So I'm going to get right into it because we have a lot of things to discuss. And what I'm going to do is break down the virtual VBS plan into 5 individual steps. And after each step, we'll have Stephanie come back on and we can go over some questions, like she said. And then I will also be sure to include our contact information at the end. You can always reach out to us. We're just here to help you guys. We know that this is a tough situation for everybody, but the number one thing is to share the gospel of Jesus with our children. And that has no bounds. Coronavirus can't stop it. Nothing can stop that good news of Jesus. And that's why we're all here today. So with that being said, if you want to follow along with the PDF that I'm going to go through today as my outline, just go to rainforestexplorers.cph.org. and then click on the Downloads tab. On the Downloads tab, you'll see a PDF that outlines these steps I'm going to go through. So I know sometimes it's easier to follow along using a guide. Definitely feel free to have that up. Stephanie can put that link in the comments just to help you have another visual reference for everything we're talking about, because it's going to be a lot of information. So that being said, the first thing we just want to point out when you are getting ready to plan for VBS, whether it's a virtual VBS or not, is when you buy the starter kit on cph.org, you do get automatic access to our digital starter kit copy. It's free of charge. It's not anything additional you need to buy with the starter kit. And that includes a ton of great resources for your planning committee as you're getting ready for VBS. So the digital starter kit will include digital copies of the leader guides. It will include the PowerPoints. It includes almost everything that you'll need in order to get that digital VBS started. Now, I do want to point out that this digital starter kit is really for your planning team. We'll have another solution in just a couple minutes that I'm really excited about that you can use to share with your families. Use that digital starter kit though if you're trying to send documents back and forth, if you want to check on the Bible art or anything else like that during the week. So the number one step, again, is to review those digital directory materials. In order to get access to them, all you need to do is sign into your cph.org account. Now, I know you'll have to sign into the account you purchased it. So if your church purchased it, maybe under a church office email, need to be sure to be logged in under that. You'll just click on the My Account tab when you're logged in, and then go to the left-hand side. There will be something that says Digital Content. You'll just click on that and click on Rainforest Explorers, and you'll see you'll have a complete outline of all the content you need. So that was a quick step, but it kind of is the building block for everything else we're going to talk about today. So step number one is to access your digital starter kit on cph.org. I'll pause for a minute there to see if we have any questions about that.
Perfect. Now, I'm not seeing any questions currently from anyone on Facebook, but I do have a question for you, Anna. So with the digital director's guide and with everything that's on there that you can get in our cph.org, is there a way to share that with anyone in like volunteers and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. That is a great question. So when you log in, when you get to that screen where you're ready, on the right-hand corner, right at the top, there's a button that says Share Access. You just need to click on that button when you're logged in, and you can share that with your volunteers. So they don't need to set up separate logins. Just as a director or maybe a point person for your team, have them just go in and then click the share button with everybody else.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's going to make it really easy for people who are trying to do this digital route because everything can kind of just go through that way. Looks like we did have a question. They're wondering if this is different than the provided flash drives. So is the information that's going to be on there different? That's a great question.
Great question. So I believe, and please, I might be wrong, I believe the flash drives may not have the digital copies of the leader guides in them. So this will have the digital copies of the leader guides. Everything else is about the same. The reason I'm kind of pointing to this digital option online is that it's easier to share from the cph.org portal. So the materials are the same in both. You could use the USB drive too. It's just, in my opinion, a little bit easier to share if you're using the portal online.
Absolutely. That's great. I do have someone else that has asked if they ordered their kit through Concordia Supply, can they still access the materials?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We know that some of you guys order from Concordia Supply or Christian Book or some other places. We will have to just add an extra step in order to give you that digital access. If you're in that situation, we just ask that you would email us, vbsteam@cph.org. Stephanie and I do check that email, and we'll get the process going from there and make sure that we can get you connected and get you a copy of that. So no worries on that if you've already bought your kit from another provider.
Excellent. Yes. So, and then one more question that I'll just kind of answer really quickly. Someone had asked about copyrights, and that's something that we'll kind of cover a little bit later on. So we do have some information on that for you all. And I just wanted to let you know I saw your question and that we'll have a little bit more information on that as we go along. So
yeah, and that's actually a great segue into our second point, which would be to plan your content for each day. And this is where we get a little bit into copyrights. We've made some additional resources that are going to make it easy for you to share your daily outline, different lesson materials without having to worry if you're breaking copyrights or not. So for this step, if you're by a computer, just type in cph.org/family-VBS. And you can see an example that we've provided for you. This is a shareable example that you can use. For each day of Rainforest Explorers, we made a little lesson outline online. And in that view, you can click on the share button. You could share that directly with your families. And it's really almost like a menu of the different activities that families will go through each day. So it starts with the Bible memory verse, the take-home point, and the story. It then will recommend the different videos and activities to use at home throughout the day. Now, the one kind of exception here is we are still asking that for the videos, you do purchase a music download card, pass along CD, for families to use those. We want to be respectful of the content creators that put those videos together. So it's still kind of the same business as usual, where we're recommending for video content that you buy that pass along material and then give it to your families and have them access the videos from wherever they're at. So you'll see that it tells the families when to play the different videos. And then for the hands-on physical activities, we have created some extra content that you can link to. So Stephanie has done a great job. She's created little like snack recipe cards that you can use, and families can just do their VBS snack from there. It even has a reminder of the Bible verses and the take-home points on there. So families can do that job of connecting the snack with the story. And we've also done the same things with the craft instructions. So what we thought that rather than having you guys, the teachers, send out the whole teacher guide to families, we've kind of condensed those two things into just the essential information that families will need. And we have a link right up there on those family guides so you can share those with your families. And then the third thing we've added in there that we've taken off the USB and made available to everybody are the coloring pages for each day. I know no matter what age, sometimes you just want to give the kids something to do and color on them. So those are directly accessible from these family planning guides that we've provided. You don't need to do any extra work or email anything out extra. So we've tried to provide as much content as we can for families in these planning materials so that you have less to worry about when you're trying to figure out copyrights. The second piece of good news I have is that we're partnering with the youth ministry department to try and find churches to do teaching videos for certain sites. And those sites will be the puppet skit, the storytelling, and also the Bible Challenge science experiments. So we know it would be a lot of work for you guys, your teachers and families, if you had to make separate videos for each station and send them out to your families. We've tried to lighten that load just a little bit, and we'll be coming out with videos for each day for each of those sites in the coming weeks. Once we have those videos, we're going to embed those directly in those family lesson planning guides. So again, you don't have to send families in 8 different places. Everything is all in that one place. So I hope that by doing this, you guys will have an easy time sharing, and it'll allow you to spend more time creating that personal content. So what we're recommending you do is use those family planning guides in the middle of the day. And then to start and end the day, we're saying maybe just do a quick Facebook Live to open and close the day's events from you, because we know your church wants that personal connection. We want you guys to be growing together as a family too. So by starting and ending each day with a personal message, we think this will be a good workload balance for you guys between things you have to create and manage on your own and things that we're providing. So I hope that makes sense. The PDF does have just kind of a little content visual schedule if you're a visual learner, if that helps you. But that's how we're trying to help navigate copyrights a little. That being said, if you want to do something else that's not in the family planning guide or content outline, we're definitely willing to work with you guys. And in the PDF, we've provided our copyrights email address. So if there's still something you have a question about, either after this live video or after reading through the PDF, just email us, copyrights@cph.org. We're trying to make as many accommodations as possible because, like I said earlier, we just want this good news to reach kids. So we're trying to work with you. We're not out to get you. We just want to make things fair for all our churches and also for our content creators. So hopefully that helps a little bit.
All right. You want to answer some questions?
That'd be awesome.
Fantastic. Yep. All right. And one thing I just wanted to mention, something I thought about was if, VBS directors or pastors or volunteers are making, kind of their intro or, closing videos, it'd be really cool to actually have, some of the Rainforest Explorers backdrops or something like that in there, just to kind of give that feel. So I know that was something I was thinking about because Decorating is a big part of VBS when you're doing it in person. And I think it'd just be fun to kind of bring that feel in. So just something I had thought about. But yeah. So, all right. So one question we have is, do we have to pay per student to get access to that family pages?
The family pages are absolutely free. So if you go there right now, everything that's up there is up there for you to use right now. Now, the third step we'll get into a little bit later, kind of layers some paid products on top of that. But we wanted to provide a good base for free that you could just share away, that you could use to supplement your materials. So these family guides are no additional cost to you.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I know that's going to be a big blessing for a lot of churches. So another question we had was, can we share the videos ourselves via Zoom, not allow saving or copying?
Yes, that's a great question. So with the music videos, like I said earlier, we would prefer that you're still buying one copy for family. Especially we're worried about kind of public sharing of videos. So what we don't want to have happen is that St. John's Lutheran Church and St. Paul's Lutheran Church and Trinity Lutheran Church all end up having the same YouTube videos on their YouTube page. So we definitely are not recommending that you share the videos publicly. However, if you're doing something that's more private, like I know a church emailed us a few weeks ago with a Google Classroom or maybe even a Zoom meeting. If it's more private like that, we just ask that you email us, and I think we can come to a solution on those. So just let us know. I don't think it'll take too much extra time out of your day to figure that out. But we're definitely trying to keep the videos kind of in those private channels. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me. But if anyone has questions, feel free to email us. Someone wants to know, how can we get the songs to them without meeting face to face? Is there a code to send out? So this would be the digital download card.
Yeah. So in your starter kit, you got one of these digital download card. On the back of the card, if you haven't seen it before, it'll give families a website to go to and then an access code. So all you need to do is buy one of these cards. And then when we get to our next step, I'll talk about how to get the cards to families. And then they can access all the music from their personal computer and then download it onto their device that they want to use. So the way you would get the music to families is just to buy one of these cards for each family, and they can download it from their computer wherever they are.
Awesome. Let's see. I think we answered that. Someone asks if they can make their own storytelling videos to send out.
Absolutely. So I know some of you guys have great storytellers, great volunteers in your congregations. And this goes back to what I was saying at the beginning. Everybody's situation is different, and everybody's going to handle this virtual VBS a little bit differently. So if you have someone in your church who is really passionate, who loves stories, who has a great relationship with the kids, and you guys have that capability to make and create videos, I would say go for it. If you don't have that person, we created kind of these supplemental videos to help you too. So it's really up to you how you want to handle it. We just wanted to provide you with as many options as possible if you didn't have that person in your church, or maybe the technology is kind of a struggle. I know the church where my in-laws are, they are just in a different type of setting. They're in kind of a rural setting, and they don't have as much technology access maybe as our church here would, or the internet spotty, whatever the situation is. We're trying to make sure both types of churches have the options to provide a VBS with kids. So yeah, if you have a plan, I would say go for it. I'm personally really excited to see all the creativity you guys come up with and all the different ways you bring the gospel message to kids. Great question.
Awesome. Just kind of reading through. I think some of the questions, it looks like, have kind of been answered. There might be some that we also get back to you later. All right. I think there's a lot of these that we are going to be answering coming up.
Awesome.
And again, there was a lot of questions there, so I'll kind of go through these later too. So if we didn't get to one specifically, I'll make sure that we actually either message you privately or go ahead and reply to you on this thread. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, if you want to go
Excellent.
ahead and continue along, Anna, I think that'd be great.
Awesome. Well, I hope this next step answers some of those questions. So
Yeah.
the other part of VBS that's really hard to replicate online are those kind of tactile, tangible things like crafts or like the student leaflets, things like that, that are just something that put those hands and hearts together to create really awesome memories. So what we're recommending that churches do to complement the digital teaching videos and lesson outlines is to put together little student packs for your children that include some of those physical elements that you really can't replicate online. So this would include maybe things like the little craft supplies. I know not all of you use all of our crafts, so whatever craft supplies you have at your church, we would recommend getting a bag or maybe even your Rainforest Explorer's little drawstring backpack. Put one of each of the crafts in the backpack. Put the leaflets, if you use the leaflets for each day, put those in a backpack or a bag. Put the collectibles in there if you use those. The music drop card. And then the final thing we're recommending is to put a personal note from your congregation in there too. Have your volunteers or maybe yourself assemble the bags, and then depending on the CDC regulations and government regulations for your area, distribute those bags before VBS. So it's kind of like an activity pack, just like sometimes before going into church with the little ones, we give them a little coloring page and other activities to do. This would be kind of like the virtual VBS equivalent of that. So once you have those packs assembled, you could either schedule a time maybe to pick them up at your church. Maybe you have some volunteers who would be willing to just drop them on the doorstep, kind of like many of the food delivery services or grocery delivery services are doing. Or maybe you even find a way to mail them out to your families. A lot of the materials, at least the ones we have, are pretty flat, so you could even put them in just a regular oversized envelope, mail those out to your families before VBS. And then when they have the VBS experience each day, you're able to mix some of those usual student materials that you buy on a per student basis with the virtual teaching materials that we're using. So that would be our recommendation, to kind of merge those two worlds together and still have those hands-on activities for creating lasting memories of VBS. So I hope that answers some of the questions, but I'm definitely willing to take more on those things if we've received questions.
Perfect. No, I don't think there may have been any questions on this part at that time, but I also just wanted to make sure that because we do have that PDF with this kind of guide on there for everyone, that if you want to download that, I just want to share the link again, just because I really think it's going to be helpful for you to kind of take a look at that as well. And it might answer some questions that you have also. And so that's at rainforestexplorers.cph.org. Wait, did I do that right?
That's right.
And that's going to be found under the downloads page. So
Yeah.
let's see. Yep. Okay. Yep. I think
Awesome.
everything's been answered so far. So I think we're
Great.
doing good. Again, if we're not getting to your questions, don't worry. We will get to your question one way or another. So
Absolutely.
perfect.
Yeah, so just to recap, step 1, check your digital starter kit. Step 2 would be check out those family lesson plans and figure out how you're going to share those. Step 3 would be to assemble your student packs. And then the 4th and 5th steps we're going to go through today kind of get into the communications aspect of VBS. And because this is going to be a different format for many of you this year, we really wanted to emphasize how important it is to communicate and perhaps even over communicate to your congregations about what's happening with VBS this year, because as many questions as Stephanie and I have and you have, your families have just as many questions too, I'm sure. So it's going to be really important that your digital content, your pathways are structured to make it as easy as possible for families. So our step 4 recommendation is to create a content hub, probably on your church's website, where you include all the important links and everything in one central place for your VBS. Now, I know that many of you probably already do this already. You probably already have a page on your website that includes the date and the registration form link, or the link to VBS Mate, which is our online registration software. All we're recommending you do is kind of amp that up a little bit. So what you're going to want to include is not just the dates and times, the registration information, but also any other pertinent information. So it's all in that one place. So that would be information about distributing the student packs, the link that we just shared to those family lesson outlines. Maybe you want to embed your own church's YouTube videos or Facebook videos on that page so families don't have to remember, oh, where was this link and where was that link? Just creating a central hub is going to be really important to keeping things organized. And what we've found from working with many churches is that, yes, you could put it on Facebook or you could put it in all these different places, but most people, when they have a question, are going to look to your church's website. So that's why we're recommending the website solution first and foremost. Now, I know that there are still a few churches who you might not have a website and you're like, what do I do? I have a couple good solutions for you. And then this is another area where I think Stephanie and I plan to have a couple follow-up webinars if you want to dive deeper. So the first solution is that we just released a free version of our Church 360 Unite website builder software. And I think Steph's going to put the link in the comments there. So if you don't have a website right now, we have an easy way through CPH, through Concordia Technology Solutions, that you can build one for free. It's very simple and user-friendly, and they're having webinars too on how to use it. So that would be one solution if you don't have a church website. If you don't think you're up for that, another option could be kind of to do what we've done, where you just make kind of one master document for your families, and you email or snail mail out that master document, almost like a guidebook for your VBS to families. So they just have that one central reference point to go back to when they have questions. That's going to save you a lot of time on the back end, and then also allow you to focus more of your time on the personal or exceptional questions that most people aren't asking. So the fourth step is, again, creating a content hub. In the PDF, we talk a lot about privacy and copyrights in this section, because just like you guys, we want to make sure your kids are protected. So this might not need to be said, but please be sure that you're screening people who are registering, that if you do choose to go the Zoom or Google Classroom route, you really have a good way to filter out people who might have nefarious actions. I hate to say that, but we just want to make sure our kids are safe. So that's why a lot of our recommendations kind of recommend a lot of the activities in the home to reduce your risk in some of the privacy issues that come up when working with kids anytime. The second thing we address in the Content Hub section are some more copyrights recommendations. I'm not going to read those off verbatim, but you'll see that we have a few recommendations there and the email address for our copyrights department. Again, if you have specific questions about what you can put on your hub or not put on your hub. So be sure to check out that PDF. It has a lot more details. But that's all I had for step 4. I'm definitely ready for some questions though.
All right. So we have had a few questions come through. I think there might be a few of them that I'm going to save for the end.
Okay.
Since we're kind of on this communication part, I think we should probably get through that. But I did have someone, or a couple people actually, mention that they use VBS Mate for registration.
Yeah.
So if you just want to kind of give a little brief overview of what that is, in case people don't know, I think that's a good option for registration, especially for digital.
Exactly. So VBS Mate is our free online registration software. You can use it for VBS, and quite honestly, a lot of churches use it for things beyond VBS. So all you need to do is log in. It's completely free. You can set up your event in there. You can set the dates and the times. There's options where parents can enter your student information. I think you can even enter, like, if a student has allergy information or anything like that. You can divide the students up into groups and classes. It's kind of a really all-in-one tool, especially if you're already in this digital mindset. The Digital VBS Mate registration is a great option. There are free reports in there, pretty much everything you would need. I know some of our competitors have like a free version and a paid version. Our version is completely free. So even if you just want to sign up, see what it's like, I would recommend just try it. If you end up not liking it or not wanting to go to the paper registration, that's cool, but there's no risk if you try it. And I do think this will be a good registration solution for a lot of our customers. And we'll also include the link to that in the comments too. So great question.
Excellent. Yes. All right. I think that's probably going to be. Yes, I think that's going to be probably the questions for now. Again, I'm probably going to get to some of these after and some of these later on. So, all right.
Yeah. Awesome. So we made it already. We're already on step 5 of our 5-step way to start a digital VBS. And this might seem like kind of an obvious step, but I just want to emphasize step 5 is to spread the word. And I know just from the few emails we've gotten, a lot of you have questions about, how do I mix print and digital communications? What do I do? Where should I post? Some of you have never lived in this world before, and that's fine. And some of you are experts and don't need any help. But I do just want to take a few minutes to talk about how important it is to spread the word in all your different mediums. So if you have that PDF open, I made just kind of a cute little graphic that shows how to flow information from your advertising channel, so to speak, into your content hub, and then how to link out. So the first thing I want to emphasize is even if you're having a digital VBS, I would definitely recommend advertising in print communications. I know advertising isn't a very churchy word, but if you have a printed church newsletter that you're still mailing out, or you usually do postcards, go ahead and do that. Just make sure you're including the link to that central hub you have. You might even want to set up a short link. And then make sure that whatever message you have, you're sharing that same message on all your different channels. So anytime you do a newsletter article, make sure you have an equivalent of that on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also in email. If you're just getting started out, I think an easy kind of rule of thumb is to just aim for 1 email or print communication a week, and then 1 social media communication a week. The important thing is that people at your church are hearing from you regularly. So just getting in that habit of having a schedule is going to be really important. There's also some other things you might want to set up. So if you have a Facebook page, another good practice would be maybe to make a Facebook group off of that page that's just for VBS. In the group, you could offer maybe some of that more private or personal information. And then also you'll get different types of interactions in your group. You can answer those questions more easily than you would on your page. Just to make that all sort of comprehensive experience when you're spreading the word. And then the other thing I would emphasize again is that you're using email, social media, newsletters to get people into your hub. And then from there, you're linking out to those other materials. So rather than say, send an email that links directly to the family materials, just keep linking to your hub and then have your hub link out to the different items in your platform. So those are just a few of my communication tips. I have a little bit more. I also want to point out that Concordia Technology Solutions, who's a different part of CPH, they're having, starting next week, I believe, a whole course about church communication. So if you have some really specific questions, maybe just about Facebook or Instagram, check out their Concordia Technology Solutions Communicator course. I think that's going to be a really good thing. Another group I would recommend for our Lutheran churches, especially if you have questions, is the Lutheran Communicators group. They're awesome. They have way more tips, tricks, and hacks than I would have. So if you have a specific communication question, I would definitely highly recommend that group. And of course, you can always email us, but sometimes it's great to crowdsource ideas too. So that's another group I would recommend. And then also just another shout out to one of my other colleagues, Elizabeth. She has been working with a Lutheran teacher, and they're doing something called Lutheran School Communicator that's focused on social media. Even though that's for schools, I think if you have some questions about social media specifically, you might really find those documents helpful too. So we can send a link to the school communicators in the comments too, but we definitely have a lot of resources just around communication if that's something that is new for you, or maybe a little bit more intimidating than some of the other more typical VBS volunteer and director duties. So just want to take a few minutes to talk about that. But I'm interested to hear what questions you guys have on that as well.
All right. So I'm not seeing any specific questions to actual like the communication, getting the word out on things like that. But there were a couple of things that people had brought up that I think we might need to clarify a little bit more.
Sure.
There was a lot of questions about the digital download cards for the music.
Okay.
So people wondering, how is it one per family? Is it you just buy one? Is there bulk discounts and things along those lines? So maybe just go a little more in detail on that. That would be helpful.
Great question. Yeah, thanks for being patient, guys. So with the download cards, it's recommended that you buy one per family. Just like I know many of you have used those pass along CDs for years and years, just like you buy one per family of those, buy one per family of the drop cards. I will also say that I know a lot of families, you have like mom and dad's cell phone and then maybe an iPad. The one card does allow you to download to different devices. So each family, I think, can download on up to 3 devices, but you do need to buy one per family with the music download cards.
Perfect. I think that's going to answer a lot of questions on that. Now I forgot which other question I was going to ask. I know someone had mentioned, and I just thought this was actually a pretty cool comment. So actually, I think I am going to actually post it up on the screen for everyone.
Okay.
I think that should work. So it's, if some of the restrictions are lifted this summer, a family could invite some neighborhood kids over, and the family from the church could host lead it as an outreach to their neighbors. So what I think is cool is I know some families might still be worried about gathering in large numbers, even if restrictions are listed. So I thought that was a really cool comment. Thank you for sharing that. So I just kind of wanted to share with everyone else because I thought that was a really great idea as well. So
yeah, I love it. And that's one thing I probably should have emphasized more. I know you guys are going to come up with way more options and ideas that I could cover here in 40 minutes. And we are excited to hear those. We're excited to share those and to have you guys share those with others. One of our churches who is a faithful VBS customer of ours has created a Facebook group called Concordia VBS Rainforest Explorers. So if you're not in that group, I would encourage you to join that group. We have a link to it in the PDF. And that's where I'm excited to see kind of the follow-up to this webinar, because I know you guys are so creative. I love seeing all your decorations, the crafts and snacks every year. So please join that group. That's going to be where we hear more and more great ideas like this. And then just kind of a second shout out. I know Stephanie did a video last week that talked about even more options, kind of like the backyard VBS option. If you do have your starter kit right now, there are some materials on the director materials that talk about like a backyard VBS, a one-day VBS, weekend VBS. If you haven't checked those out, those might be another good option just to check out and to start thinking differently, get your wheels turning if you don't want to go completely digital, or if you want to wait, or you want to do the family VBS. I love the idea of involving neighborhood kids. That to me kind of gets past some of the privacy issues we were talking about. You know your neighbors, you can trust your neighbors, hopefully, and that's a great way to build community just within your close group. So thanks so much for sharing that.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. So I think that's probably the bulk of the questions. Again, there's going to be some of these that we are probably going to respond either as a reply back on Facebook or even a private message, just so you know. So we will get to your questions. We promise it. I know a lot of people were asking if this is actually going to be available to watch later, and it is. So one, it'll be available here on the CPH VBS Facebook page. And then we will also be uploading to YouTube as well. So you can watch this as many times as you want and share it with as many people as you want as well. So I think that will be very helpful. Something else I wanted to mention too is that I will also be doing a little video that'll actually show you how to get into the digital director's guide information. I don't know if I said that correctly. Anyway, but I will be hosting a video for that as well. It'll just be something short, but just that way you can actually see exactly how it works, and we'll kind of go through that. I think that's all I can think of for now. Anna, is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, that's it. I know you guys are really busy right now, so I just wanted to say thank you for watching and taking time out. I'm really looking forward to working with you guys, even if it's in a different way this year. And it's just such a great blessing every year. I know VBS was very important to me as a child, and it's just a blessing and a humbling experience to be able to share that with you guys and with the kids at your church. So just thank you guys for watching today. This has been hopefully helpful for you. And if you have other ideas or questions, we can definitely do follow-up videos like this too.
Yep. All right. Well, again, thanks everyone for joining us today. We really do hope this was helpful for you. If you have any more questions, always feel free to reach out to us. As I said in the beginning, that is what we are here for. We are here for you, to help you in any way that we possibly can. Even if we don't have all the answers, we want to make sure that we are going to be here for you and be your guide, though. So thank you again for joining, and we will see you all soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.